Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends animated series version of Wolverine from the X-Men. This is from Hasbro Pulse. I don't remember if this one was exclusive. They're like doing half of them exclusive and half not, if memory serves. Either way, I got this from Hasbro Pulse. I paid for it, by the way, not a review sample. Not surprisingly, but that's what this is. And this is, for me, what I was hoping would be the ultimate, the best, the final word on Wolverine action figures from Marvel Legends. They've finally whittled it down to like basically the perfect body sculpt, the perfect build for the Jim Lee Wolverine, the Tiger Stripe version. And this is supposed to be the paint job to match the animated series, so that should have just sealed the deal. Does it? Well, we're going to talk about it. So let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 15 centimeters to the top of his head, which makes him pretty close to, let's say, 5 7/8 inches, not counting his ear tips, of course, just the yellow melon. Now, this guy is basically just a reissue with new paint, so I'm going to go through the whole thing, but we're going to be focusing mostly on the paint because that is the big deal here. So we'll get to the aesthetic in just a second. First, we have to do a question of the day. Are you a fan, and I'm guessing you are if you're watching this video, but are you a fan of the animation-specific cartoon-styled paint jobs that we're seeing from, well, this guy, companies like NECA do it regularly for the Turtles, things like that? Do you like that because it resembles the source material in that it looks like the cartoon or the comic panels? Or do you prefer just the regular airbrush style shading or no shading at all? You can let me know. For me, I'm always down for something that's stylized like this. It looks like the source material exactly rather than a real-life version of the source material. So I like it. It's a nice breakup from just standard shading, and I definitely prefer some kind of paint job over nothing. So there's my stance on that. Okay, so let's talk about the aesthetic. First thing we're going to talk about, get this out of the way, the claws are booty. I get why they used these claws, because in the cartoon he had claws similar to these, but They don't translate well in plastic, if you ask me. I think if they had just taken a little bit of liberty with these, it would have gone a long way. Also, they're dark gray, so I think that does take away a little bit as well. But they're just warped and crappy looking because they don't have any blade look to them. They look like those stumpy car antennas that people used to buy when they didn't want the big tall metal one. They'd buy the little short ones to make the cars look sporty. It looks like he's got those coming out of his hands. So I'm not a fan of those. You guys can let me know how you feel about those. Personally, I'm going to swap them out with something else. Okay, let's talk about the paint job here. We'll get to the head. The heads are new too. But let's talk about the paint job. The idea behind it, I think, is really good mostly, especially in the yellow. They did a good job in terms of placement on this area here. The head, the neck, the chest, that's all a good enough idea. On the legs, we just have two giant color blocks, which I think doesn't quite work as well. I think we need a little bit more. On the blue, we get some on his crotch here, which I think is sufficient. A little bit here, which is just enough. And then a little bit on the arms, which is just enough. Nothing on the hands, and nothing on the boots, and nothing on the arms. Little bit on the red. So to me, it feels like they did just enough to say it's the cartoon accurate paint job, but didn't really want to invest in the proper paint job. There's no line work on the black either, by the way, which there usually was. Here, I think it's on the box even. Yeah, so you can see they could have easily thrown like a little bit of line right there, a little bit on the ear, a little bit around the face. The arms, obviously, the hands should have it continuing down. You know, they could have gotten away with a lot more paint on this figure. And at a $28 price point for basically a remolded figure, I think that would have been a good idea. Plus, on the back, it's very minimal. We have some here. And that's it. I mean, the head is continued, but that's it. So it's not enough. But if it was clean, I'd be okay. But let's look at how clean it actually is, because it's supposed to look like a cartoon, and this looks like it was made with Crayola. Like, this is painted for shit. It's terrible. There's two different colors here because it had to get touched up. It's sloppy as hell all around this whole area. The neck is an entirely different color. The shading in the neck is an entirely different color than in the torso. What the heck? You had one job. One job for this release. And it's terrible. I'll say the black lines are clean and nice. I like those a whole bunch. But the missed paint job in a lot of places, and then the really sloppy paint job where it is heavy, is just not good. Not good at all. Now, as for the new head sculpt, and we'll talk about the alternate one when we get to the accessories, but let's talk about this one now. It's a very neutral face, like too neutral, I think. At least a little bit of an angry-ish look. I mean, this doesn't look even neutral. It looks bored. It looks melancholic. It's a little bit strange, but even if we just take that aside, the face paint doesn't match the arms at all. Like, not at all. The arms are molded in peach-colored, skin-colored, whatever you want to call it, PVC, and then the face is not. It's painted. It's painted glossy, and there's no detail paint job on there at all. And there's very little sculpt work going on. It's a very just blah look, which, again, would be okay if the paint job was enough, but it's really not. The edges are clean enough, but it's glossy, and it's not the right color. So this is not what I wanted. This is not what anybody should have wanted out of a premium special edition release of a figure we've already gotten a few times. All we get is 2 new heads and a photo frame? What the heck? The paint job's not good enough. Frankly, unless you're really far away from it, not having the paint job would look better. Because it's so damn sloppy. This area right here is ridiculous. I am thoroughly unimpressed. For $28, this is a slap in the face. This is trash for $28. Look at NECA's offerings for $28. Or roughly, let's say $30. Mostly reused parts just like this. New parts included. Paint everywhere. And this, we got almost no paint and it's sloppy. And the figure's way cheaper in the first place. So, I mean, it's in terms of production. This is not acceptable if you ask me. So I'm going to give it an aesthetic rating of a generous, very generous 5 out of 10. The core body is still well sculpted and well put together, but half the paint job is terrible. Not good at all. Now, as far as accessories go, we do get the alternate head. We get the grimacing head. It looks really cheap again. It's the same face paint, and the teeth are just a solid chunk of white. And it's just unimpressive. It's good enough. It's fine. Like, the overall look for Wolverine is good. It's there. But it doesn't scream like they cared at all or tried. So that's a bummer, and it also sits too high. We do have alternate hands. We have the fist hands with the claws on them in the package. And then we get some gripping hands, which are blue, ungloved hands. There are fingernails on these hands. They're just molded in blue. So it looks ridiculous. So another slap in the face. And then lastly, we get the photo frame of Scott and Jean, which is a clever enough idea. I get why they did that, but the print work is honestly not very good. And so that's another thing that is shown by NECA to be something they do regularly. They print stuff regularly. You get all kinds of paper goods with the figures, and they look good. This one doesn't. It is cool, though, that you can pop it out and put whatever photo you want in there, so that's pretty cool. Accessory-wise, I'm going to give this figure a giant 5 out of 10. How about like the effect from like the opening scene in every episode of the animated series? That'd be cool. Or some alternate claws, that would be better. Or something. Anything, really. Some hands that don't have fingernails showing through the gloves. Anything would have been nice, I think. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the articulation, even though we've seen it all before, and even though the head sits way too high. He can look up. He can look down. He can rotate side to side. A little bit of attitude because of how high the head sits, and it's just not properly done. It's goofy. It's way too high. These guys have an independent little peg. Butterfly joint works well enough. Arms go... Remember them going higher than that, can't they? Pretty sure they can. Yeah, there we go. Arms go up to the side, no problem. That's fine. You do get your full rotation. That's fine. Bicep swivel is good. Double jointed elbow. He's really chunky and they didn't really account for it, so he is fairly limited, more than I would like by a lot. It's only about 90 degrees. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. I think they should have cut away a little bit more bicep so that he could have better range, being as thick as his arms are. He does lean back nicely. He does lean forward really nicely, so that's good. They did add a little bit of extra paint in there at the very top, but not actually with the muscles. So it's like, okay, put it where the muscle is. Why is it there? That's weird. Waist twist is a waist twist. Legs worked very nicely on this figure. They go all the way forward. They go back a little bit. They go out to the side. A little less than 45 degrees should be better. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee is fine. They didn't paint the pegs, by the way. You do get a boot swivel on this guy, and the ankle goes all the way back. And pretty far forward like that. Ankle rocker is good. They did paint the soles of the boots, of course. So his articulation's fine. I'll give it an 8. It's pretty good. But the rest of the figure is nowhere near a $28 figure. If it was an all-new sculpt or something, sure. But 2 new heads and accessory and then some lousy paint. I think maybe these claws are new. I can't remember if we've seen the animated style claws before. But they're not as good as they should be anyway. So, like, there's a few new parts. I'm not saying there aren't. But for $28, guys, $28 is a lot of money for a plastic collectible. Like, I know they can be a lot more expensive. I collect lots more expensive things. And so that's fine. But you have to get what your money is worth in a collectible. This is not it. This is not it. If you squint, this thing looks great. If you actually look at it up close, it's not what it's supposed to be. It's not well done, and it's not worth the money. So, 5 out. I'll go 5. I'll go 5 out of 10. There it is. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comment section below. Did you get one with better paint job than mine? Because mine's terrible. And even if it wasn't, there's still paint that should have been on there that's not on there. So I am thoroughly disappointed. It's good enough, but I mean, good enough for, like, I'm not going to throw it away or sell it. I'll keep it, but it's not good enough for the price point. So there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you really hated it, you can share it and let everybody know how bad it is. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.